provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines on First at 9. In the hand of the judiciary, 13 fundamental rights petitions filed at the Supreme Court against the dissolution of Parliament.
The President has in effect fully assaulted the Constitution in terms of the proroguing of Parliament and now the dissolution of Parliament.
Backup plan. Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says a broader alliance will be formed to save the country. Altogether, former parliamentarian Rohit Abegunawardena lays out SLPP's plans to form an alliance, including the SLP for elections. Vote wisely. National Coordinator of Muslim Affairs for the Prime Minister urges Muslim community not to sell their votes.
Please be aware, don't sell your vote for 1,000, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000 rupees.
California wildfires. The death toll rises to 31 in California and over 200 still unaccounted for. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9, another Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katharina Chang. Now on to your top story tonight. Now, ever since the appointment of the new Prime Minister and right through to the dissolution of Parliament, some in the political arena question the legitimacy of President Maithripala Sirisena's actions. Now, with snap elections called on the 5th of January, those who oppose the move today filed fundamental rights petition at the Supreme Court, hoping that a verdict would nullify the presidential's proclamation. Submissions for 10 of the 13 petitions were made today before the three-member judge bench.
13 fundamental rights petitions were submitted to the Supreme Court today, seeking a verdict which deems the dissolution of Parliament illegal. Accordingly, 5 petitions were submitted by Kabir Hashim from the United National Party, R. Sambandhan from the Tamil National Alliance, Rauf Hakim from the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Rishad Badiuddin from All Ceylon Makkal Congress and Mano Ganesan from Democratic People's Front. 5 parliamentarians of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, including Anura Kumara Dissanayake, also filed a petition. Meanwhile, the Centre for Policy Alternatives filed a petition as a civil society organisation, while 8 persons, including attorneys at law Aruna Laksiri and Lal Vijay Nayaka, filed 5 more petitions as civilians. Member of the Election Commission Professor S. Ratnajeevan H. Hule also filed a fundamental rights petition calling for a dissolution of Parliament to be declared illegal, bringing the number of petitions filed against the President's proclamation to 13. Meanwhile, Dr. Channa Jayasumana, who represents the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, filed an intermediary petition requesting an opportunity to make submissions against the particular fundamental rights petitions. President Maithripala Sirisena, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, the Election Commission and its members are named respondents in the petitions. Petitioners requesting the Supreme Court to nullify the relevant Gazette notification in relation to the dissolution of Parliament, arguing that the President does not have the power to do so in accordance with 19th Amendment to the Constitution. They also requested the court to issue a stay order halting the general election process until the Supreme Court gives its final verdict on the matter. Several ministers and former parliamentarians were seen at the Supreme Court premises today. There was tension when Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara attempted to express his views to media.
Either you have to be quiet or I have to. Are you against the media now? All I have to say is, let's work according to the verdict of the Supreme Court. They should have gone to court when the Prime Minister was removed and not now. Remember, apart from executive powers, the President also has the power of the people.
විධායක බලයට අමතරව අඩෝ ඌ කිව්වේ කවුද ඌ කිව්වේ කවුද
Meanwhile, the petitions were deliberated by a 3-member Supreme Court judge bench consisting of Chief Justice Nalin Pereira, Justice Priyantha Jayawardena and Justice Prasanna Jayawardena. When submission of facts commenced, Attorney General Jayantha Jayasuriya requested that further time be granted to review these petitions and determine the discourse as they were submitted this morning. However, the 3-member judge bench ruled to proceed with submissions. Attorneys who represented political parties such as the TNA, UNP, JVP, Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, All Ceylon Makkal Congress, along with the Centre for Policy Alternatives, as well as former parliamentarians M.A. Sumandiran and Manu Ganesan, argued that the President's decision to dissolve the Parliament was a violation of the Constitution. They also argued that in accordance with the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, the President does not have the jurisdiction to dissolve the Parliament. Submission of facts were done for 10 out of the 13 petitions today, and the rest will be taken up by the Justice Panel tomorrow.
Political parties, civil society organizations and some citizens have invoked the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to suspend the operation of the Gazette dissolving Parliament and eventually to have it quashed.
The main grounds on which we're petitioning in the courts is to strengthen, to preserve, to protect the Constitution. I think the President has in effect fully assaulted the Constitution in terms of, first of all, the sacking of Prime Minister Wickremesinghe, the proroguing of Parliament, and now the dismissal, the dissolution of Parliament. As far as we are concerned, whilst he has the right to dissolve Parliament, the manner and the circumstances in which he does it is clearly stated in the Constitution, and he seems to have ignored it. And in that sense, it's a full violation. So before we go to the polls, before we do anything else, the Constitution has to be reaffirmed, re-established in its rightful position as the supreme law of the land, and then the parties can decide to give the two-thirds majority and dissolve Parliament and go to an election, if they so desire.
We hope the justice system will give a fair verdict for the crime that was committed by the executive. We believe it is the people of this country who are better suited to resolve this problem related to the Prime Minister. We hope the Supreme Court will reverse the unconstitutional act by the President. We hope the court will rule that the President made the right decision here. We came to the Supreme Court to protect the rights of the people. We strongly believe that the court will give the best verdict.
Former parliamentarian of the UPFA, Rohitha Gunawardena, echoed the plan of the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Perumuna, which intends to form a coalition to contest the upcoming general election. Speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today, Abe Gunawardena said that many political parties are willing to join an alliance with the SLPP.
The United National Party is going into the election with a losing mentality. A political party with a winning mentality would never seek the assistance of the court to stop an election. They are afraid of public consensus. Is it wrong to hold an election? Karu Jayasuriya is acting as the president of the country. Considering the crisis within the UNP, he might be thinking that he has a shot at premiership, as members within the party are in search of candidates. We request the former Prime Minister to visit grassroots level and reach out to people without going to court. Neither the ambassadors nor the court have votes. He should kindly listen to the public opinion. People who were with Ranil Wickremesinghe are now with Sajith Premadasa. Karu Jayasuriya's term as the Speaker will end on the 5th of January, and he is targeting the top chair in Sirikota. But there are many who are eyeing that chair. We request the United National Party and the JVP to accept the challenge. Both parties will move forward and both parties will come together to contest this election. There are a number of MPs who represent the SLFP. Our discussion will come to a conclusion tomorrow, and accordingly we will contest as an alliance, as many parties will join us. We are also having discussions with the TNA and we will contest as a powerful alliance. Seven President's Councils are standing by the President's decision, saying that it is constitutional. We have great faith that the judiciary will not come forward to cancel an election.
Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe heralds that the UMP is ready to face any challenge that comes along in order to safeguard people's sovereignty. He made these remarks while delivering a special statement at Temple Trees this evening.
116 members of parliament met with the speaker and informed him that the decision made by the president is unlawful. 8 more MPs informed this to the speaker via telephone. The speaker informed them that majority should be shown when the parliament meets. It is not wrong. People who are aware of parliamentary traditions also know that it is not wrong. When a motion of no confidence was tabled against me, I showed the parliamentary majority. But when the parliament was scheduled to reconvene, the president dissolved the parliament unconstitutionally. The president mentioned purchasing MPs for money. He is the one who truly knows about the prices, as he offered several UNP members and a TNA member ministerial positions. Hence the public lost faith in the MPs. The country is seeing its downfall due to the decision taken without considering the constitution, democracy and ethics. The image of the country was damaged. We lost faith of the international community. But we are holding discussions on establishing a new broader alliance to lift this country from this crisis. We will go to the people with a new phase. We will introduce a new constitution and will strengthen the democracy. We are ready to face any challenge in order to safeguard people's sovereignty.
As the political sphere continues to encounter turbulence, views were expressed calling for the appointment of Sajid Premadasa as the leader of the United National Party and to the post of Prime Minister. Speaking at separate media briefings today, former UMP MP Ashoka Singha and Kavinda Jawardana says that the only alternative to win the upcoming election depends on the leadership of the party.
We must nominate Sajid Premadasa to the post of Prime Minister, and I personally believe that we should change the leadership of the United National Party. We must play this match as a team. This is an election where we cannot contest in isolation and in separate teams. We have complete faith that the party will give him the due position and opportunity.
Meanwhile, a tense situation erupted during a meeting held in Panadura over the manner in which Parliament was dissolved. The meeting was held under the auspices of UNP provincial councillors in the Western Province, organised by Professionals for Justice. A group of former parliamentarians and members from the United National Party meanwhile held a silent vigil in the vicinity of the Gangarame temple in Colombo last evening. The vigil was held in protest of Parliament's dissolution.
The United National Party intends to contest the upcoming election as a part of a new alliance under different party symbol. The former UMP MP laid out the plan while speaking at a forum in Colombo today, where he said that the formation of the alliance will be finalized tonight and will be a joint effort by a multitude of parties representing different colors, aimed at breaking away from conservative politics.
When contesting the next election, we should not consider whether one's political party is blue, red or green. We must contest the next election with an alliance among citizens that is above political parties to bring about freedom and democracy. We cannot engage in this endeavour trying to name who should be the next Prime Minister or presidential candidate. We can only win this election with a new alliance that puts democracy in the forefront and give us, the citizens of the country, the leadership. We want to break away from conservative politics and stop going behind political leaders to find out who is right and who is wrong. We will finalise the alliance by evening. These leaders are known to you, and they will all work together as a board to carry forward this government. This alliance will not only have 2 or 3 colours. Instead, it will be a rainbow alliance with an array of colours.
Minister of National Integration and Reconciliation Vasudevana Narkara accuses that Speaker Karu Jayasuriya was also part of a plot by the United National Party to create chaos within Sri Lanka in order to ensure an intervention by the international community. Newly appointed Minister of Ports and Shipping Mahinda Samarasinha also expressed similar views regarding the matter today.
ඒගොල්ල සැලසුම් කළේ අගමැති අස්කරපු වෙලාවෙ ඉඳලා
Since Ranil Wickremesinghe was removed from the position of the premiership, they were trying to create chaos in every institution. And they wanted to bring Ranil Wickremesinghe back to power by using the intervention of the international community. The Speaker of Parliament was also a pawn in this plot.
කතානායකත්වයේ ඉත්තෙක්
මට මතකයි මමත් අර පක්ෂ නායක
The Speaker called all party leaders, including myself, for 3 unofficial discussions. During these meetings, he kept showing this file beside him, saying that it contains a letter with signatures of 116 parliamentarians who wanted a majority vote in Parliament. But he never showed us that letter. Even the President was also in doubt as to whether the Speaker would work according to stay orders or not once the Parliament was convened. There was a major plot underway ahead of the 14th of November. They had called foreign diplomats and international media to the country. They were going to work in an illegal manner. So when the President figured out all of this, the only option left for him was to dissolve Parliament.
එතුමාට තිබුණු විකල්පය තමයි පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරුව හරින්න.
JV member of the Uva Provincial Council, Samantha Vidyaratna, says that the consequences which faced by former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe are the results of what he did in the recent past. Addressing a public rally in Badul yesterday, Uva Council member Vidyaratna also said that the time has come for the general public to think about political alternatives.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා වපුරපු අස්සන්න තමයි මේ නෙලමින් ඉන්නේ.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is reaping today what he saw in the recent past. He began to sell the country's assets one by one. He introduced new taxes on people. He came to power pledging to catch and punish thieves, but his own team also began to rob. Arjuna Mahendran is one of the closest persons of Wickremesinghe's. He was brought from Singapore and given the central bank and opened all the doors to rob from the central bank. The same money was later used to keep MPs who were to cross over. Because of that, Ranil Wickremesinghe is a Prime Minister who joined a major robbery in the country. On the other hand, he is a failed ruler in politics. People were given more burdens with tax. He created an internal issue in the party whilst also having issues with the President. No good governance was brought. He was on a journey to destroy the country. Ranil did nothing to bring central bank thieves from Singapore and punish them. We invite people who are gathered around Wickremesinghe to think about an alternative. We also invite the teams who are with the President and Mahinda Rajapaksa. Enough is enough. It's time to look for an alternative.
දැන් විකල්පයක් දෙසට හැරෙන්න.
National Coordinator of Muslim Affairs for the Prime Minister, Shiraz Yunus, urged the Muslim community to refrain from selling their vote, which has been a usual scenario in the north and east as the public's votes decide the future of a country. He expressed his views at a media briefing held in Colombo today, where other speakers also revisited the Sri Lanka co-sponsored resolution in Geneva.
We have to be alert, especially I'm calling on the Muslim community, don't get caught into the conspiracies of minority parties. It's good to go on pilgrimages. Very good. Mecca is our holy city. Going there and conspiring. How are we going to mortgage the Muslim community of Sri Lanka and get on our political agendas, which is not correct? And I would make a humble request from the Muslim community of Sri Lanka. Please be aware. Don't sell your vote for 1,000, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000 rupees, which has been happening in East especially and some areas in the North. And with responsibility, I am saying it. Your vote matters. Your vote is the voice and the future of your children. And for that, don't sell your vote. We have to protect our country. We have to protect the sovereignty, integrity of our country and generations to come.
The biggest betrayal of our history is that a former foreign minister of ours co-sponsoring the resolution against our armed forces, which resulted in our war heroes mentally falling. This is a hunt for war heroes. Tap into your hearts and ask whether democracy was upheld in the recent past. We will have to consider it a joke.
මං හිතන්නේ ඒක විහිළුවක් විදියට තමයි අපිට සලකන්න වෙන්නේ.
And with that, we cross over to a short commercial break. Stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Sarath Amundugama contradicts speculation, saying that foreign governments have not withdrawn grants, project loans and economic programs with Sri Lanka. Minister Dr. Amudagama made this remark addressing foreign diplomats based in Colombo this morning. He said that certain countries have stated that they are watching the situation in Sri Lanka and nobody has indicated or started negotiations or curtailed any of the existing grants and aids at the moment. The minister also briefed the chain of events that compelled President Maithripala Sirisena to arrive at the decision to dissolve the parliament. Dr. Amudagama also assures that a peaceful atmosphere continues to prevail in Sri Lanka in the midst of internal political changes. Sri Lanka Ports Authority announces that container volumes at the Colombo port rose 14.9% to 5,223,292 20-foot equivalent units, growing at one of the fastest rates seen among major ports in the world. The authority also said that the broad-based growth has been seen in all terminals in Colombo. The Jaya Container Terminal, known as JCT, grew its transshipment volumes by 23.3%, and the South Asia Gateway terminals had grown 16.5%, while the Colombo International Container Terminals grew by 13.2%. Total transshipment volumes grew 19.4% to 4,206,630 TEUs UP from 3,522,521 TEUs a year earlier. Last year, Colombo Port had handled 6.2 million containers, and the authority said it expects to handle 7 million containers within this year. The All Share Price Index closed 0.04% higher, up 2.31 points to 5,980.94, while the S&P 20 of more liquid stocks gained 0.38%, up 11.77 points to 3,105.98. Market turnover was 424.8 million rupees, with 80 stocks gaining during the day against 39 that declined. We have Ms. Ansala Kurupamudali from First Capital Holdings with a full report.
The bourse ended in green for the second consecutive day, mainly supported by big cap John Keels and Ceylon Tobacco. The All Share Price Index witnessed a volatile downward trend during the first 2 hours of trading, reaching an intraday low of 5,936 and continued on an upward trend, closing the day at 5,981, gaining mere 2 points. Both turnover and volume have decreased, while nearly 36% of turnover was derived from John Keels. A net foreign inflow was witnessed after 2 consecutive outflow sessions with low foreign participation.
The Sri Lankan rupee fell to a record low today as political uncertainty triggered by President Maithripala Sirisena's decision to sack Parliament weighed on sentiment in line with bonds. The currency hit 175 rupees and 90 cents versus the dollar, surpassing its previous all-time peak of 175 rupees and 65 cents from the 1st of November. With that, let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies around the world. The death toll in wildfires sweeping California has now risen to 31, with more than 200 people still unaccounted for. An estimated 250,000 people have been forced to flee their homes to avoid 3 major blazes in the state.
2 deadly wildfires fueled by devil winds are tearing through opposite ends of California, with residents urged to heed evacuation orders by officials forced to leave their own homes. In Northern California, the Camp Fire is one of the deadliest and most destructive in the state's history, killing at least 23 since it broke out on Thursday, northeast of Sacramento, and consumed much of the mountain town of Paradise. More than 100 were reported missing. Hundreds of miles to the south, the Woolsey conflagration threatening the wealthy beach community of Malibu near Los Angeles. Firefighters meanwhile pushed forward to achieve 25% containment of the Camp Fire in Northern California, which had burned 109,000 acres at the edge of the Plumas National Forest. In Southern California, where the Woolsey fire scorched 83,275 acres, the blaze was only 10% contained. The campfire burned down more than 6,700 homes and businesses in Paradise, more than structures than any other California wildfire on record, and the death toll, which could rise, also makes it one of the deadliest. Governor Jerry Brown asked US President Donald Trump to declare a major disaster to bolster the emergency response and help residents recover. US President previously blamed California officials for fires and threatened to withhold funding, saying the state should do more to remove rotten trees and other debris that fuel blazes. State officials have blamed climate change and said many of the burn areas have been in federally managed lands.
Democratic Republic of Congo is currently facing the worst outbreak of the Ebola virus in the country's history. Health officials say that almost 200 people have died since August, with more than 300 confirmed or probable cases.
The current outbreak of the Ebola virus is the 10th the Democratic Republic of Congo has suffered, and the worst since the country's first epidemic in 1976. The National Health Authority said that about half the victims were from Beni, a city of 800,000 in the North Kivu region. Since a vaccination program began on 8th of August, more than 25,000 people have been inoculated. Congo has suffered long years of instability, and efforts to relieve the disease have been hampered by attacks on medical workers. The UN's Department of Peacekeeping on Friday called on armed groups active in the region not to hinder efforts to fight the disease. Congo's health minister said that teams responsible for responding to the outbreak have faced threats, physical assaults, repeated destruction of their equipment and kidnapping.
We have sports news on the other side. Stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
In tennis news, Roger Federer's hope of winning a record-extending 7th ATP Finals title suffered a blow as Kei Nishikori stunned the Swiss great 7-6-6-3 in that round-robin opener yesterday. Meanwhile, Kevin Anderson made a winning debut at the ATP Finals with a 6-3-7-6 victory over Austrian Dominic Thiem in the opening singles match at the O2 Arena yesterday.
Roger Federer began calmly enough, but his usually smooth game began to fray towards the end of the first set and fell apart in the error-strewn second. Unsurprisingly, the match ended with a Federer miss-hit, his 34th unforced error of a scrappy display.
Game, set, match, Nishikori.
In the meantime, Wimbledon runner-up Kevin Anderson, the first South African to qualify for the season ender since Wayne Ferreira in 1995, was comfortably the better player in a one-sided first set. The second set was a much tighter affair with serve dominating, but Anderson sneaked a gripping tiebreaker 12-10 on his fourth match point and outlasted Dominic Thiem.
Game, set, and match.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Moving on to your weather forecast for tomorrow, temperatures are to vary between 17 and 31 degrees Celsius, with the highest of 31 expected in Muletiu and Batiklo. A low pressure zone will develop in the central hills and will gradually disappear. Mainly sunny weather will prevail over most parts of the island. Fairly strong winds of up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected over the island, particularly in northern, eastern, north central, central and southern provinces. Misty conditions may occur at some places in the central, Sabragama and western provinces during the morning hours. Let's now take a look at your city by city forecast. And before we go, we'd like to take you to Belihuloya village in the Ratnapuri district. It is approximately 150 kilometers southeast of Colombo. This hillside location is dramatically transitional area, linking both the dry and wet zones and the hill and low country. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.